Jeez, I feel my hair is all over the place. All right, we're gonna give this. Oh, we almost at the 10-second countdown. Yeah, here we go. All right. Hey, y'all, what's going on? I am your gracious host, Jay Stokes, here with another AVIOT Sunday Brew. It's nice to be with y'all this evening. I always try to do it in the morning. It hasn't been working as of late, but I'm very happy with the consistency of this live show. So if anyone wants to chime in, anyone wants to say anything, anyone wants to contribute to the discussion, please let me know. And how you can let me know is by being in the comment section. I'm just trying to fill in while I figure out how to go forth with my first topic of the day. So I recently came back from a wedding. I went to a wedding, specifically a Nigerian wedding over the weekend. And that has thrown me off in terms of my content or the content of the Chemistry Productions, even AVIOT platforms. For those of you who don't know, Chemistry Productions is the is the parent company in which the AVIOT podcast is housed. The AVIOT podcast is the official podcast of Chemistry Productions, and then AVIOT Live is or AVIOT Sunday Brew is a live show where I'm able to talk to audience members in real time, and we could really have a discussion and hopefully build community. But as I was saying before, I was at a Nigerian wedding this weekend. Really nice time. I got to reconnect with a buddy of mine who I haven't seen for years. And I've been terrible in terms of keeping in touch. He's been a really good friend in terms of trying to hit me up every now and then, saying like, hey man, how you doing? What's going on? And then I'll reply and then I'll just go ghost. And I got to do a better job. What happens is I think I have so much going on in life that sometimes I don't do a good job of really keeping track of just like messages I might have missed, tasks I might have missed, but I will do better about that. My New Year's resolution this year has been to be more disciplined and be on top of things. So that's a part of my discipline journey. The year's not over yet. And it's a good thing that I got in touch with my buddy because, like I said, his wedding was wonderful. It was a great time. But to begin the wedding, there was a little bit of an issue because, unfortunately, the bride and the groom, the wedding party, everybody was late. Now, the wedding was supposed to begin at 2:00 p.m. The wedding ceremony, not the reception. The ceremony was supposed to go on for 2:00 p.m. to 2:45 p.m. in the day. And this was an outdoor wedding. So we're outside with the sun beaming on top of us, outdoor seating, right? Tell me why the wedding party didn't arrive until about 3:15 p.m. So I was not out there sitting in the sun. Now I was out there with some people. We had the suits on, everyone had on the outfits, but we went back into a shaded area. Now this is in the middle of, I wouldn't say the countryside, maybe a field area. I'm not going to tell you the location, but it was in a field area and it was hot. It was really hot. And I'm wearing my burgundy suit and I gotta be out there in that heat. And then I had a black shirt underneath the burgundy suit. Man, I tried to chill, but the wind would come by and it would feel okay. But for the most part, I was hot. Everybody was hot. So we would sit down where they had the setup for the ceremony, and then we would just leave and go back next to a shed in the shade. And then the mother of the bride came out and she was saying, okay, guys, they're about to start. Let's go out. So we go out and sit again, wait about 3 minutes. No one showed up. We go right back into the shade. And we did this a few times. Oh, man, it was crazy. And, I started to think about it because this was kind of the theme for the rest of the wedding festivities or activities. First, we had a late start to the ceremony. And then we had the little area where we would meet, and what was it? It's like sorry, there's a siren outside. We put that to pass. But we had a little meet and greet where, what was it? Cocktail hour, I think. Yeah. So cocktail hour. So the cocktail hour that had a decent amount of time. So we were there and that was on time, or not on time, but it occupied the amount of time that it needed to occupy. And then we went to the wedding reception and everything was taking so long. So I had to leave at a certain point because I had to get back home. And I had a 3-hour drive in order to get back home because I had stayed in the area over the weekend with my cousin. So yeah, I just didn't want to go back and stay with him again. I wanted to go home. There's nothing like sleeping in your own bed sometimes. So it made me think to myself, why are certain people always late? Because I was talking to my cousin, I was texting him, and he was saying how Nigerians or Africans in general, they are slow. And he's like, yeah, they're on African time right now. Right. And so I had to look up why are some people always late, because that can really put a damper in future plans. That could really put a damper in other things that you are trying to do. So I have a list of things online right now. Poor planning is one of those things. Maybe people aren't adhering to a certain schedule. There are some sources that say ADHD might cause this inability for people to be on time. Perfectionism. Perfectionism is another reason. So I can see with why it seems like everybody and their mama out here tonight. Another siren going by. I'm trying to, jeez. I guess that's a consequence of living on a busy street. What is going on? You got the ambulance? I hope everybody all right wherever the area is. But anyways, yeah, so you have people wanting to be perfect. And when I'm thinking about Nigerian families, Nigerian individuals in general, there is a stereotype that they like to be perfect or they like to have everything particular in a certain order. So I can see that happening. But I really think it was just poor planning and poor management on the family's part. And that's why everything was late for this wedding ceremony and the rest of the wedding festivities. However, I will say everyone had a good time. I went before I left, made sure I sprayed my money before I left. I made sure I did that. And yeah, I just came back home last night, was exhausted. I had two podcast episodes I wanted to put out, one where I was by myself and then another one with my sister Tay. We finally got back to our sports talk podcast and I wanted to put that one out, but unfortunately I was too tired. Today, I've been doing catch up with a lot of videos, putting it out on the Chemistry Productions platforms. We're putting out a lot of content related to the AVIOT podcast. Make sure to listen to the AVIOT podcast on a streaming service near you. Make sure to follow us. So there is that. But ultimately, great wedding. Everyone looked lovely. Men dressed to the nines. I tell you, man, African women in general, they're Black women. I'm just saying subset of Black women from the continent of Africa, they always are well put together, beautiful, their outfits, just how they carry themselves, very nice. And with that being said, I wanted to switch gears talking about another subject that has to do with women. I've been looking on threads and I've seen there have been a lot of people talking about birth control as of late. Now, I know there's a fear that the current presidential administration and those who align with this current presidential administration are going to come after birth control or try to eliminate it so that women don't have access to it. I understand that fear, and it is a very real fear. And shoot, the way things are going, it could very well happen. Birth control, as we know, is something that can be used to prevent pregnancy from occurring. But also, birth control has been used, for those of you who don't know, to help with the menstrual cycle of women. Birth control has other uses other than just preventing pregnancy. And I really wish that people would do their research into why this occurs in the first place. And let's also stop trying to force women to have kids. And it's funny because in not a cruel, but it's ironic that all of these, what do you call it? All of these efforts are being made in order to make women have children. But there's actually a decline in the birth rate throughout the country. Now, some sources will say there's a global decline in the birth rate, but there is a decline in the birth rate in the country. So you're trying to force women to have kids, and women are like, no. And I don't blame women for not having kids. I don't blame people for not wanting to expand their family in the first place. Do you see how where this country is headed? How many people really want to have their children be in this environment where you have school shootings occurring, where you have people not being able to afford groceries because grocery prices are going up, where you have people who are scared about going to school because they might not even be able to take out loans in order to help them get a higher education. There are so many constraints to, oh, hey, funny, insightful, how you doing? Sorry, I didn't see your comment. How's everything? How's everything going? Yeah, I'm changing up I changed up the format of the Sunday Brew, this live show. I used to do it on my phone, but now I have a new computer, so I'm doing it on the computer. But what I notice is when I do it on the computer, there are less viewers who tune in. So I don't know if that's a I don't know if that's a downside. This is more convenient for me, but well, thank you for listening. Yeah, it's definitely more convenient for me to do it this way, but the viewership has gone dramatically down, so I got to weigh my options here. But anyways, as I was saying before, there are so many problems that Americans are dealing with, and bringing a child into this world that can only add on to a lot of those problems. So people are choosing not to have children. People are choosing to prioritize their education. People are choosing to prioritize ways of making extra income. And I think that's very ironic considering the efforts of this current presidential administration to kind of force people to have kids. And we all know what is being said without being said when we're talking about forcing people to have kids. We know that is a certain group of people who want to increase their numbers because they feel that the coloreds or the marginalized groups or the non-white individuals are starting to grow in their numbers. So there's that whole situation. But I thought it's very ironic. And it's unfortunate that we have women being put in this predicament. All right, let's see. Funny and insightful. Yes, horizontal format will attract less viewers because it won't be part of your doom scroll. Okay, I see. Thank you for that. So, what do you think then? The only problem, okay, doing it this way is easier for me to record the lives. And also, I noticed in past lives too that whenever I would be listening to the playback, there would be like this weird noise in the background, and it was really bothering me. So next Sunday, I'll try to go back on the phone again, and we'll see what happens there. But I'm still here every Sunday, so it's unfortunate that we're not having the viewership that we used to. One thing I will say though is well, I had a troll last week. But you have less people trolling and arguing in the comment section. Yeah. Speaking of arguments, I wanted to pivot and talk about this situation well, not a situation, it's kind of already set in stone now. There's a new HBO series that's supposed to be coming out, I think, next year with Harry Potter. So, okay, funny, insightful. Is there a policy against birth control by current administration? According to my understanding, there's only been restrictions and development against abortion. So yes, so there is a fear that this current presidential administration, this current government is going to start restricting access to birth control, or going to say we shouldn't be using birth control at all. There's a fear about that. Nothing has been set in stone just yet. Funny and insightful. Nothing's So right now, things should be cool, but I can understand why people are fearful of it. Me personally, I've seen on threads just a lot of people talking about it. Fears are generally unfounded. Well, with this administration, I don't know. I don't know. A lot of things that people feared did in fact come true. I know when this current president got elected, people were fearful of how he would tackle immigration, and those fears have come to light. So I think that in general, your statement is true. In this case, I think the fears have merit. So there is that. But as I was saying before, I was and feel free to chime in, funny aside, but it looks like it's just me and you talking on this one right here. I'm definitely going to have to go back to a horizontal format. But I agree that bringing up kids in this economy sucks. I would probably look at it from a 3-point view: economic, social. You're right. Yep. You're absolutely correct. And I really hope that people see in the playback what you're saying, because I'm going to make sure that I'm going to do my best to make sure that your comments are visible, because I think that you always give a good point of view, and I always appreciate the dialogue that we're having. So as I was saying, with the HBO special, there have been a lot of concerns actually, about HBO having kind of rebooting the Harry Potter franchise. We had the 8 Harry Potter movies, the last movie being split into 2 parts. And Harry Potter in general is a big pop cultural phenomenon. A lot of people love the books. I've read all of the books, and I understand why there's such a frenzy regarding the series, regarding the characters. They're lovable characters, and you really grow with them throughout the entire the all the books. So with HBO greenlighting a reboot of Harry Potter, to me, it is a money grab. And then also on top of that, I can see them saying, well, the original Harry Potter movies, they really kind of were loosely based off of the books, but they didn't really follow the books to a T. So I can see them trying to follow the books, that honor the source material of the books more in depth. On top of that, though, there have been concerns, specifically with the casting of Severus Snape. Severus Snape is in the book depicted as a white individual, and right now they have him being played by Papa Asiadu. I believe he is a British actor, but okay, funny, insightful. Haha, I'd be surprised they still want to adopt the point of view of Rowling. She's been very fierce about it. Yeah, yeah. So I think that's the reason why they're casting a black guy to play Severus Snape, Papa Asiadu, because I think they want to kind of get the heat off of J.K. Rowling in terms of her opinions towards transgender individuals. I think that I could see sometimes J.K. Rowling's points with the transgender stuff, her being a woman, but I think she just does the most. Like at a point in time, you just got to know how to stop. You got to know how to just let it go. You can advocate for women and girls without bringing transgender individuals into the conversation. Transgender individuals deserve the right to live and thrive like anybody else, right? That's how I feel, and I think they are humans like anybody else. But yeah, so I think that casting Papa as Severus Snape, it has a lot of issues attached to it, because if you think about it, Severus Snape was bullied in school. Severus Snape was just looked at as this negative character. And it's not, I'm not spoiling anything because everyone should know by now, but Severus Snape ends up being the hero of the Harry Potter series, right? When you consider what was doing in the background. But at the same time, I can see how in this day and age, especially when we consider the dynamics of race in this world, people could look at Lily Potter, Harry Potter's mother, and James Potter as being racist. And you don't want that playing into it. Now, I know that in the Harry Potter series, there are different races apparent, present, but that doesn't mean, I just don't, me personally, I think it gets very muddy when you start race flipping characters. I've never been a fan of race flipping or gender flipping characters. I've been a fan of either creating another character that is a marginalized group or a different group and making them enjoyable. Or hello, how you doing, Miss Scott? Hello. I believe in creating another character that is impactful and can grab an audience. Yeah, race not in context of colors, but more like race and yeah, exactly, exactly. Funny, insightful. That's right. In terms of genealogy, right? So you have the, what is it, the centaurs, and then you have wizards and witches. You have the ogres, like those different races. Exactly, exactly. But for example, I think a good person to look at or a character would be like Miles Morales. Miles Morales was not a was another Spider-Man character that was created, but it didn't eliminate the original Peter Parker character. And you have Miles Morales, you have a huge fan base that loves that character, and it's based off how he's been depicted, how he's been written. And I like that. They didn't have to make a black Peter Parker because Peter Parker is originally white. Instead, they created a new black character who took on the Spider-Man mantle, and everyone loves him. He's a very likable character. I think that's different, but just swapping or race swapping a character, to me, can cause more issues or more harm than good. So I just don't like this Severus Snape casting. I'll probably make another more in-depth video as to why I don't think it's a good idea. I was listening to Super Carlin Brothers recently, and the stance that they have, I believe, is that the casting is okay. I have to finish that video, but I was listening to another video where he was explaining why casting Severus Snape as a black person would not be a good idea, and I was more in line with that. Representation through creation, not through replacement. Exactly. That is a beautiful statement, funny, insightful, insightful. Representation through creation, not through replacement. If you don't mind, I'm gonna borrow that and I'm gonna use it in one of my videos. I'm gonna use that one. I like that a lot. So in general, I didn't mind a reboot of the Harry Potter series though, because it will stick more to the source material. But I wish they would have done it later on down the road. I wish they wouldn't have done the reboot so soon. I think that we could have gone maybe because when's the last Harry Potter film? It came out in the early 2000s. We're in 2025. I think it's too soon to reboot Harry Potter. Let's wait a minute. But people are gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it, but that is that. Speaking of movies, I actually wanted to pivot and talk about Marvel movies in general. So Marvel has been experiencing some rough times, specifically with their new movies that they've been making post the Infinity War saga. They recently came out with Fantastic Four. I refuse to see it in theaters because for me and my wife to see the movies, it's $40 per movie. So if we're gonna spend money to see a movie, it has to be a very good film. All right, funny, insightful. Oh yeah, feel free to. Aside from the profit motive, I'd love the script incorporates world instead of gender ideology, especially about hatred, bullying, and growing tension. I think they probably will. I do think that they'll probably do that in the movie Funny, Insightful. I do not the movie in the new series because they have a lot of time to flesh this out because it's a series, it's not a movie. With a movie, you have to jam pack a lot of themes, a lot of dialogue, a lot of issues into 2.5 hours, right? With a television show, you just want that. Oh, okay. I see you took the message back. I'm waiting. Whatever you said. With a television show, there's a lot more time to fully build out characters, to give people an arc, to really see how someone grows from one place to another. And I've seen that in certain shows before. All right, like at this point, I just want them to be genuine. Jeez, you keep taking away the message. All right, I'll wait till you pause on the message. But let me go back to Marvel movies. Fantastic Four, I was not about to pay $40 to see that film. The only films I have seen recently, one was Sinners. Sinners was a masterpiece, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching that with my wife and my buddy in the theater. And then, okay, all right, funny example, that's cool. And then I did see the Thunderbolts, but the reason I saw the Thunderbolts is because I had to kill time. I was waiting on something, and I needed to waste about 2.5 hours. I think I had to pick up my wife from something, and so that's why I ended up seeing that movie. I was supposed to hang out with a friend, and we ended up ending our hangout session early because it was a thunderstorm. And then I went to see Thunderbolts. And it was expensive, but it was a way to pass the time by. But I've been like that with other movies. I've said it, I don't know if I said it in a previous live or I said it in another video or a podcast episode where I've been holding off on seeing Superman because I wasn't about to pay $40 to see Superman in the theaters. And now I just found out that Superman is going to be available for streaming for purchase, I believe, on August 25th or 26th at the end of this month. So my time waiting, hey, Fantastic Four might be the next thing that happens with. But Marvel, they didn't see a good return on the Fantastic Four movie from what I saw. And I was listening to this one video that was breaking it down. They were saying it might have something to do with familiarity of the characters. So Marvel's really banking on this new Spider-Man movie that's supposed to be coming out next year in order to really move them forward in terms of their profitability, in terms of the storyline, in terms of their support from the general public. All right, funny, insightful. Here we go. I meant like let them even show racist characters as I don't mind as long as they are true as a reflection of our current society. Let them have Voldemort kill Harry Potter if they want to, but keep it real. They're not gonna kill off Harry Potter though. That's the thing. Harry Potter is the title character. They're not gonna do it. I see what you mean though, in terms of really go there with a lot of the themes that we see in American and world society today. Yeah, I agree with that. I think there is an area where that can be fleshed out more. I think that there is the ability to really push the envelope in terms of we're really trying to showcase how society should operate and the evils that occur and how to best address them or best deal with them. Yeah, be controversial, but be true. That's true. No, I'm totally with it. Harry Potter has a lot of leeway. They got a lot of area they could tackle. Basically, opposite of. You're funny. You're funny. So we got the funny. We had the insight. Now we got the funny. Staying true to your handle. Yeah. But in terms of Marvel movies, I'm definitely going to wait. I'm not in a hurry or in a rush to see anything. And the way there's so many other stories going on out there, nothing's really being spoiled for me in terms of movies. I know nothing about Fantastic Four. I know nothing about the new Superman movie because no one's really talking about it like that. I don't think they really move the needle in terms of cultural impact. Like Sinners, I had to mute everything. I had to scroll past everything because the way people were spoiling the movie left and right, that was a cultural phenomenon. Speaking of Sinners, so Ryan Coogler, who wrote and produced or wrote and directed Sinners, I think he might have been, I don't know if him and his wife are executive producers on that. Don't quote me on this, but they also, Zinzi Coogler and Ryan Coogler, Ryan and his wife, they both executive produced Eyes of Wakanda, which is on Disney Plus. And I have to do a better job of promoting that show because it's an excellent show. I plan on making content regarding that show and promoting it and really exploring some themes that were talked about within that show. It's only 4 episodes. They average about 30 minutes each, but it was very impactful, and I love the way they weaved it together. I really hope they come up with a second season for Eyes of Wakanda. Excellent, excellent show. Lastly, my last topic I want to talk about today, speaking of promotion, I feel like there's been a lot of, at least on my side of threads. Oh, funny and insightful. I'll be honest. Marvel lost its true path since the Phase 3 Avengers because they had to really ponder to ideologies. Marvel also had to pander to BlackRock. We don't even want to go there. Who's BlackRock? Who's BlackRock? Funny and sad. I don't know who that is. But I agree with you, though, in terms of they did lose their steam after Endgame. I thought they did have some movies that were hits. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was a hit. Let's see, what else? Spider-Man Far From Home? Or was it No Way Home? I think it's Far From Home. Spider-Man Far From Home was a hit. I thought Wakanda Forever was a hit. I know it has mixed views about it. I think a lot of it has to do with having a black female lead, but it was great. BlackRock, the investment firm. All right, funny and insightful. So what I'm going to do, all right, when I get off this, I'm going to do my research into BlackRock. Since you said it'll take about an hour, I'll do my research into that. That way I can expand upon what you're talking about. I've never heard of BlackRock before, but I'll do my research into it and expand upon it. I'll make sure to put it in my notes. Okay, so I appreciate that. I never heard of them. But what I wanted to end the show was there's been a lot of promotion about the NFL preseason and NFL coming back, promotion by just fans of the NFL. I believe in general that the NFL does a good job of selling their product, and they have a loyal fan base. That's why when people were protesting after Colin Kaepernick took a knee and we had all that going on, people are still watching. People are still watching NFL because that's a movement. People aren't going to get rid of football. They love their football. And with that, you have Shedeur Sanders, son of Deion Sanders. He's a quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. They recently played the Carolina Panthers in a preseason game, and he had a good showing from what I've been reading and been seeing. There's been, in my opinion, a concerted effort in order to humble Shador Sanders, and I think that's because he is a confident black male, and a lot of people in the broader society don't like confident black individuals. I put Shador Sanders in the same tier as an Angel Reese, as a Rakia Jackson, but the thing is, Rakia Jackson doesn't have quite the platform that Angel Reese does. Dejanay Carrington of the WNBA, but just confident black individuals who truly are unafraid of expressing themselves, all aspects of themselves. They're nice, they're humble, for the most part, God fearing. I don't know if everyone worships God, but I've seen Shador honor God and Angel Reese honor God. And society just doesn't like that. It's like you cannot be all of those things. And we could really unpack that a bit further if we really do psychoanalysis, history of black individuals thriving despite societal pressures. It's a lot. Okay. Funny, insightful. By the way, I know you're almost ending, but I want to share something personal. Maybe this is useful to you. Do you want me to read? Well, it's public, so okay. I have a unique set of skills that make me valuable from a corporate standpoint. Let's. Uh-huh. Okay. I'm seeing. I don't want to pause too long. But if it's a major question, ooh, oh no. I'm sorry about that, funny and insightful. Ooh. Do you want to email us? You want to send an email to the Chemistry Productions platform, and then maybe we could discuss in more detail? Because I don't want to keep pausing while you type, but I definitely empathize with what you're going through. That's not good. But yeah, the email is chemistry production. Okay. Okay, you want me to cover immigration more? Is that what it is? Do you want me to cover just immigration in general? And I'll wait for your response, because depending on your response, that will I'll let you know what I have been doing or what I have been thinking about regarding immigration and that subject in general. But as funny, insightful types. All right, y'all, we about to end the show. And what I do every week as I'm ending, I do my, what is it? What's brewing for the week? So what's brewing for me? I'll be traveling again with my wife, and I'm gonna try and stay on top of the different content that is going to be produced, the content that we're going to be sharing. So I have ideas in mind. I'm not going to talk about them because I feel I'm going to jinx myself if I talk about it. But best believe I'll be doing my best to be on top of things, even though I am traveling. All right, here we go. Plain insightful. Okay. Yeah. 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 No, I understand. I totally understand where you're coming from. Funny, insightful. It's really unfair. But if you want me to cover immigration more, that is something I can do. Funny enough, and I'll actually show you. I don't just talk the talk. It's just with me, it's all about time. Um, I actually have a whole bunch of papers here I've been reading about immigration, specifically when it refers to, no, matter of fact, sorry, immigration. But I know it's these papers specifically, a lot of them cover the Latino population a lot because they are a topic of conversation when it comes to immigration in the United States. But yeah, I'm reading up on immigration. These are all scholarly papers. I've been reading them for a while, just trying to get my thoughts together so that I can create material around immigration, educate people about it. I'm really interested in talking about violence with immigration because there's a lot of misinformation that's going out there regarding immigrants being more violent. We know that's not the case. So I definitely will cover that more. But I appreciate you bringing up the topic, funny and insightful. I'll make sure to. Okay, I'm not worried from an economic point of view. I'm highly paid professional, not in tech. I agree. I totally agree with you. Yeah, the current administration is ruining the US economy. I was actually listening to another individual, the company man, on YouTube, and he was talking about just Republicans coming into office in general. I'm not spiteful for this country, nor fear. I just said they're fun. Yeah, yeah, no, I agree, I agree. And what the company man was saying, Justin Hunt, that's his actual name, but he goes by the company man. He was talking about when Republicans come into power in the US, a lot of times, or most times, they end up tanking the economy. And we go through a recession or we go through a bad time. You look at all of our hard times in recent years, it always comes after Republicans in office. The current president, last time we had COVID and our economy wasn't doing well. You had George W. Bush. We had the recession. So it's always something along the lines there. But with that being said, I hope everyone that joined this episode enjoyed themselves. And funny and insightful, like I said, cover bricks and economic policies. Okay. Okay. So I have, let's see. So the things I have to look at is BlackRock, bricks, and economic policies. All right. I'll keep that in mind. So I appreciate you, funny and insightful. But I'll see everyone next week, and I'll probably just do the vertical video. That way I can have a larger audience so that we can truly have a discussion there. And I'll see what I can do about the audio issues. But thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.